Hey guys, continuing our Iamblichus' Exhortation to Philosophy text, chapter 9. We've come to the end of this chapter, so we're going to do a summary. And he does a summary as well at the end. I think this is how he does the summary. I added a couple of bits for explanation purposes. Okay, so this chapter was about the design of nature. He says if we can see how nature is designed and how nature designs things, and a man is one of those things, human, then we can see why we need to study philosophy and why it's so important. So if we remember at the beginning of the chapter in these videos, Iamblichus was saying the different processes that go through when the thing is designed and for what purpose and so forth. So at the very beginning he says that the human is designed by nature as the best of animals. And what makes us the best of all the animals, what gives us the ability to control them and basically do anything we want with them, which makes us more powerful than them, is a quality that the other animals don't have, a quality that is higher than animal nature. Hence we can control them, a more powerful quality. And this quality is the reasoning ability. Reasoning ability or wisdom, different terms are used for the same thing. He says, and in this reasoning ability, we find the purpose and the end to our existence in the physical life. By the end, he doesn't mean, as I understand it, he doesn't mean death. He means the end of fulfilling what we're here to do. And this makes sense because the end is the, as I understand it, is the highest sort of state. And the highest state for us in the physical life, as I understand it, is state of wisdom, state of the intellect. Okay. So that should motivate us to study philosophy, because then we align our life according to the purpose with which we're designed. So again, he says reason is the reason why humans were created, and that we should seek reason per se, not for something else. Because we see in the chapter, he hints that if we seek reason for something else, as a use for something else, then a lot of people think there's no point to wisdom. Because they can't see how can wisdom be useful for something else. And so he even says that wisdom is not useful for something. So this is one side of it, and that's why most people in the typical world, they're not really interested in developing wisdom. If you, for example, if you tell your parents, I want to be a philosopher, they're going to say, are you crazy? How are you going to make your money in the world? And how are you going to, you're going to be a bum, basically. They don't see how wisdom can be useful, how contemplation can be useful. So what Iamblichus is saying, this is the danger of trying to see how wisdom can be useful for something else. He said, because then you either don't seek it, or you will seek it and use it for something else, which will kind of defile it, I guess. Because you're taking something that's higher, and you're not using it for that. You're using it to for something lower. So you're finding your end in something lower rather than in something higher, which is illogical if you think about it. So he says reason and wisdom should be sought per se, for the sake of itself, because it is a good. And as we see in this book, it is the only good that cannot be taken away, that we cannot lose, and so forth. And it is the only good that is always a good. If we give it to a poor person, wisdom is good. If we give it to a rich person, wisdom is good. And because it is a true because it is a true good, it will make other things good. So a wise person will be a much more effective businessman, doctor, painter, I don't know, veterinarian, anyone. Their relationship with another person, like their loved one, will be much more positive, and so forth. Because wisdom is a good, it shines into everything we do. And he says, if we seek wisdom and reason for its own sake, rather than for something else, then we start to enter the island of the blessed. Either he says it like this, or he says that when we die, we enter the island of the blessed. And in this island, from what I understood, nothing is sought for the sake of something else. It is an island, kind of a state of stillness, and maybe not stillness, but kind of nothing is needed and nothing is lacking. As I understand it, is a state of creation. The creation is constantly going on in a cycle for its own sake, rather than for something else. And because of that, there is a level of peace. And what I understand he means by this is that the level of the intellect, that we're operating on the level of the intellect. We exist on the level of the intellect. So this is the summary of this chapter. So because of these reasons, again, Iamblichus exhorts us to study philosophy. We can see how philosophy is the #1 important science, art, and activity that a human should do, simply because the human is designed for the purpose of developing reasoning powers. And this is exactly the aim of philosophy and the path of philosophy. So the more I am studying this text, the more it's blowing my mind. I'm thinking, oh my God, I want to spend my life studying this. And parallel to this, trying to see how I can bring more and more philosophy into anything else that I do. So that's it in this chapter. Next video, we move on to chapter 10. I've got an allergy, so I'm going to finish the video now. That's it. Thank you, and I'll meditate for 15 seconds, and some video will show up. You can click on it and continue watching my channel.